Does relative importance affect the price index?
Yes, 100. Yes, that's literally what it says. Yeah.
Okay, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. The price growth is still real. If you're talking about relative to the percent of inflation, sure, but who cares? But if the CPI is saying that egg prices have experienced 50% growth, then those same eggs from the 70s are 50% more expensive. Prices of food, according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, 742% higher in 2024 versus 1970. So I would say that's pretty accurate compared to what I was saying. To be clear, there's been growth. What we're talking about is the growth is stagnant in comparison to the growth in prices, right? Like if you look at,
that's what real means.
Yeah, no.
That's what real means.
No, if you look at real wages over time, like for middle class earners, you're talking about like 15% growth since the 70s. If you look at the cost of education adjusted for inflation over time, we're talking about over 200% growth. So those two things aren't comparable. Somebody now might be making slightly more than someone in the 70s, but what they're paying for education is astronomically more than what someone in the 70s was paying. What they're paying for groceries are astronomically more than what someone in the 70s was paying. What they're paying for housing is astronomically more.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a few things that you're saying that are obviously incorrect, but
no. I didn't say. Wait. What did I say that was obviously incorrect? Because I'll send you the numbers on any of that. If you think any of what I said was untrue.
Groceries.
Okay.
The groceries.
Okay. Cool.
I'll continue.
Cool. Give me a sec.
There's a few things that you're saying that are incorrect. So that it's not keeping up with inflation. Real, as in economics means like the nominal number then adjusted for inflation.
Yes.
So that means that you are looking at the increase, and it's by definition an increase in purchasing power.
High value, man. The person literally compared both real things, like increase in the price of education and the increase in the price, the wage, the median wage.
So I just got this, and I did link it. So wait. So I linked this in the chat. Prices of food, according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, 742% higher in 2024 versus 1970. So I would say that's pretty accurate compared to what I was saying.
Yeah. So
I'm comparing random apple of like a fucking random farm.
I mean, that wasn't a pun, but yeah, it does have a pun effect. But yeah, so yeah, the idea here is, I don't know if they are accurately like
right.
I'll give you an example. Like, let's say you take.
What does the Fed do? What does the Fed do that the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics don't?
So let's say like you're talking about like an avocado, right? Like it is like obviously true that like the cost of an avocado for like an American has drastically fallen because like avocados were like really scarce and it was really hard to like balance out. But now with like a globalized economy, like avocados are abundant. Same thing with mangoes and stuff like that.
Okay, so look and see. Go look and see. Go look and see.
The increase, because like
this sounds like arguing from incredulity. This sounds like an argument from incredulity. If you think that's true, go look and see, and I'll wait. And if you can come back and show me where that's true, then we can talk about it. But saying like I don't know, like it could be. I don't know, it could be. And
how they came to the conclusion.
Yeah. It's the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics.
I don't see how you could have those same products when some products didn't exist back then. So clearly they're looking at items.
Okay, like I mean, like you buy like a dozen apples, 2 dozen eggs, like 2 gallons of milk, something like that.
No, and to be clear, there's ways to still calculate that. You can just take the ingredients, weigh out what they would have costed for that much ingredients for the thing that they're making based on what those would have costed at that time, and you can still come to a conclusion on what that total would be. The idea that like, oh, well, because this thing was created in 2010 and, some people buy it now, we can't accurately compare statistics, like, I mean, it's just insanity. This is like
So it wasn't even necessarily a dispute. I was just trying to figure out the methodology that they used, and here's why, right? And it's not like trying to be like super pedantic, but basically they're saying like food has become more expensive since the 70s to today. And I said, well, that may be true certainly for certain food items, right? But the quality of the item is also very different. And also certain food items were like very scarce in the 70s that like we take for granted, like mangoes and like avocados and stuff like that, like certain like seasonal foods. And I would doubt that they would include that in like the 1970s basket for consumers, because consumers just wouldn't be able to consume that. So like it wouldn't make sense for them to include it. And like as I look like through this, like this seems to be the case.
No, it's not.
Like,
hold on. No. I'm not letting you do this because I'm looking through it too. I have the list from this exact thing you linked, 1987. I'm looking through it right here, the different foods it has, food away from home, lunch, dinner. It has the housing, the fuel and other utilities. And then I also have the most updated one pulled up on the BLS website for how the CPS categorizes this. I'll also link this. It's 1-to-1 the same. It's 1-to-1 the same.
A bunch of different numbers.
So in the particular table, 1972, you see the relative importance of food at 19.2, and in 1982, it's 16.2. And in each of the categories, it has a different importance for the particular category of food at home, meat, poultry, fish, blah, blah, blah. What he's trying to say is the particular importance of these things varied, which can cause the shift in the total price increase of what people are consuming right now.
Exactly.
But I don't know if it will be 200%.
At the end.
Oh, I'm not even saying it will be 200%, but that's why I'm still combing through the data. I'm agnostic on this like food thing, but like the linking of the source, I'm saying this is probably one of the biggest problems with like just taking the headline, and you would have to kind of look through this a little bit more deeply. Right, but like this alone,
the thing is that, like, and this is why
how we like calculate CPI is this kind of is fairly misleading to people.
Yeah, no,
right,
it's not. And relative importance doesn't affect price index. Like that is the biggest thing here. And like I wasn't gonna say that until you tried to like link a source. But if you're just gonna like continue to go on, relative importance has no effect on the price index. And like if you don't want to take that from me, I can link it from the Bureau of Labor Statistics themselves, making this point that price indexes measure the price change without the regard in the share of expenditures in the basket, right? So like what you're saying has no application to the point you're trying to make. It's just you're trying to get so lost in the weeds that people don't really understand, or maybe you don't really understand. And I just feel like you're asserting things that you could not link anything from anyone who knows what they're talking about to back you up. That's why I'm asking for a source.
Yeah, so the BLS is the thing. So you see how you see at the top 100, right? You see how it's 100 flat, and then everything below adds up to 100. Right, that's actually because what I said, right? Like as they shift the importance, it does actually change the composition of the 100.
Does relative importance affect the price index?
Yes, 100. Like yes, that's literally what it says. Yeah.
Okay, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. What else could we talk about?
I really don't see why you're like not. Yeah, go ahead.
One of the issues here is that some things are cheaper relative to the 70s, grains and sugars, and poultry. And for the grains and stuff, that's partly because of subsidies and technology. But some things are more expensive. But at the end of the day, the way in which what we care about is how much are we spending on food. And if the composition of our basket changes, so we eat less meatloaf and slightly more avocados, slightly more other stuff, that becomes actually part of the consumption basket. So when you say, food prices have gone up, or if saying food prices have gone up is still accurate because what we eat, we don't eat nuts and berries,
Yeah, I agree with that, but then the reasoning changes completely, right? Which is like it is the case that if you wanted to mirror more of a consumer basket from back in the day, that you could. Right, and you could get cheaper food. It's just that people don't.
No, but some things back then are still more expensive. Beef is more expensive.
That's demonstrably just not true.
Wait, why do you believe that if we go back to the diet of the 1970s, the food is going to be cheaper than it is?
Yeah, that's just not true. It's just not true.
So I'll give you an example, right?
Data to
suggest that?
No,
data.
because this is what I mean, is that I don't think he understands what he's
There's
looking
like
at,
three,
is
there's
because
three
the
people. I can only try to answer
relative
one at a time.
importance doesn't affect price
So-
growth. The price growth is still real. If you're talking about relative to the percent of inflation, sure, but who cares? But if the CPI is saying that egg prices have experienced 50% growth,
Yes.
then those same eggs from the 70s are 50% more expensive. So even if you bought them to
But
go
even
back to
the
that
egg-
diet, you're paying 50% more for that thing. So what you
Yeah, that's correct.
it just doesn't make any sense what you're saying.